This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Good morning, truth seekers and true crime junkies. Welcome back to another episode of Hit the Road, Jack, Finding the Zodiac. I'm going to welcome to the show this morning, Terry Batcher.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Harriette Sucher. Are you there with us, Harriette?
I'm here with you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you now. Good morning.
Okay, yeah, good. Good morning again to the net, Terry B. You got to keep your cool name, Terry B.
Good morning.
I do like Terry B. Yeah. We were talking a little bit more about your situation there in Lower Lake, being a fire victim, and I know that you wanted to speak a little bit about it last week. I think it's worth talking about, but what is the situation now going on for you?
Okay, the gist of it is, I did get the 30-year deferred loan, the state senator, Democrat Mike McGuire, 30-year deferred loan, Clayton Fire Recovery, and I am among several people that were getting these notices that, their permits were expired, and then I looked at the notice, the paperwork, and I said, this is referring to that loan. So to make a long story short, I was accused for a couple of weeks, I think, that I never got the loan. But if I got the paperwork to prove that I had got the loan, to email certain people, especially State Senator Mike McGuire's office. And now, as of yesterday, when they reviewed everything that I had, they said that I'm going to have to vacate my property. And I'm among several people getting notice. It's really bad here. So that's what I'm doing.
So they're basically stating that you're not up to code on your property as you're living right now, and they're trying to remove anybody who has made makeshift homes on their properties and tell you can't reside there anymore, correct?
No, it's more of I did get approved to bring this trailer, and all these things were going through the programs, plural. And I had my septic tested, all kinds of things, but they are now deciding, yes, that we are not up to code, and they're not going to issue or extend any more, things to get us back to going to the homes. And this was an area that was deemed arson. That was the reason why State Senator Mike McGuire did the program and got a whole bunch of people together. But so, yeah,
now they advanced code. They advanced funds for these houses, correct?
Oh, definitely. McGuire. I got the paperwork. I got the loan for $80,000.
Okay, so then my following question is that you found out during this process that somebody had absconded with those funds, correct?
Something to the effect, yes, money was being moved because of how the system was designed. So, and I was then on house number 2 or house number 3 by 2019, and they were claiming I never even got one of these loans. So I have the paperwork now, but bottom line is I'm screwed. They want me out of here, and but I haven't got the 30-day notice yet. So I've been scrambling to protect my belongings, and it feels like you're running from the fire. The fire's coming. The fire's coming. You got to get the stuff. You got to get your grandma stuff.
Right. Anyway, somewhere you indicated $1.7 million went missing.
No, I think it was $1.7 million was going missing, connected to my caseworker and a whole bunch of other people's, but we'll just stick to her being my caseworker, Melissa Hughes. And but it's become an incredible drama here because they're almost pretending like, well, there's no such person as Melissa Hughes.
Of course.
Laughing like, yeah, she was my caseworker. Something happened to
now
her.
nobody knows who she
then,
is. $1.7 million is missing. You guys are out of housing, and you're being kicked off the only property you've known for what, the last 20 some years?
I moved up here to Lake County in 2003. So yeah, very much connected
21
here.
years.
My family's dead.
Yeah.
My family's dead here. The cremains of the one individual that I paid for, that was supposed to be, that was my Auntie Jean, that was supposed to be 5 months before the fire hit. She died on Quarter Horse Lane here. I'll be really quick. And I paid for the cremains because she helped raise me. I overlooked that property from where I'm at. She helped us get this property here. Long story. So instead of her cremains being tossed over Hawaii like she wanted, like she had planned, she planned out her life. Her cremains ended up being on Quarter Horse Lane. So I overlooked her grave. I mean, this is very emotional.
And see, that's another thing you're going to have to leave and lose if they kick you off that property. Now, once they kick you guys off, what are their intentions to do with those properties?
Well, my property is for sale, but I'm not even going to pay the taxes on it right now. Then, if I can't legally breathe here, but it's already been arranged. This was over a year. They'll get the taxes, once it sells, if it sells. But that's
so basically, you're a victim of a fire. You're a victim of a fire. Now you're a victim of the caseworker who was supposed to be helping you. You're a victim to the loss of 4 to 5 different houses that they were supposed to provide you to bring you up to code so that you could stay on your property. And now you're a victim of being kicked off of it by code enforcement. Lower Lake kind of seems to me like that whole thing that went on with the Ketty cabin murders up in Plumas County, where literally there was about, I think there was something. It was a small amount of people that actually lived there, but by the time the Ketty cabin murders occurred, it literally cleared out the rest of the residents from the town, and PG&E just blasted a pipeline right on through it. So I'm going to end that there and get back to the podcast at this point. I think that's a very sad state of affairs that you were a victim and now you're going to be victimized once again. That just really chaps my hide.
At the age of 65.
I know.
I'm like, where are we supposed to go with people who have property in their name? We don't qualify for a lot of the other programs. So let's get back to D.B. Cooper. He jumped out and he disappeared, never to be seen again. Yeah, okay, Jack. I'm looking at your face right now. I got my book.
Well, I'm going to flip to the presentation because I at least had some excitement. Day before yesterday, I actually had my second Zodiac tattoo done. And in the midst of having that tattoo done, I recognized several things about this card that we did not discuss in the past. So I thought I would bring it up today. I did the dragon card because I just thought that this card was absolutely hilarious. Sorry to hear your ass is a dragon. We all know this.
That's dedication.
That's dedication. So my left side, from the poison pen card to the dragon card, is all on one side of me. I happen to be left-handed, and obviously left-handed people are in their right minds. No, I think they've actually discovered that wasn't true, but either way, the artist was absolutely amazing. It took all of these colors for him to actually complete this particular tattoo. So I am currently healing from that today. And that made me want to bring back up the dragon card, which we had had spoke about in the 1970 communications. Now, one of the things that I did not notice until we started blowing things up and looking at it, because I guess I just never paid attention before, but we have that particular dot in the loop of the R up here at the very top. And we've talked several times about the circle with the dot in the center. You indicated, Harriette, I believe that was either a location or eyes, right? Look at me kind of thing, or look at something kind of thing.
I think it's pretty much several things. The dot in the circle is one of the code symbols. and that's supposed
Correct.
to be right an E, and then location, the center of something, like a defined location. If you're going to be looking on a map, that's where Terry B would be like, yep, looking at the map, they got the circle and then a dot in the circle. That is the defined location. So
now I was shocked that I didn't catch this before, because I have paid lots of attention to the circle with the dot in the center, and I've mapped it out across many communications and all the crime sprees. I start to wonder if this isn't a look at me to define that this is legitimately coming from the Zodiac himself, because we see this dot in the circle on everything. And then of course it appears in this particular greeting card. The R right next to the R without the dot in it indicates that it wasn't a font style for this particular card. So that dot was purposely placed inside that particular R. Otherwise we'd see it in both R's. Also, I noticed and hadn't noticed before until the tattoo artist began tattooing. But if you can see right here, and I know you can't see what I'm looking at, but Terry, you can probably see where I'm circling my mouse right now.
Right.
There's a pickaxe right in the middle, almost like a Where's Waldo or Find the Hidden Image. But it's actually built directly into the dragon, which now makes me want to go back and start studying all the different aspects of the dragon to see if there is anything else inside of there that can be seen that you wouldn't normally pay attention to or pull out. You can also see it in the black and white version. I think it does stand out a little bit more in the black and white version, but in the colored version, it is more or less, can you find that item? And something is hidden. So again, that points out that dot in the circle of the R to look at or to find something inside this message. Either way, I thought that was an interesting take on it.
You know what? You also have something that, doesn't that dragon, the word that's the way that's structured, kind of remind you of Degnan? As an anagram for Degnan?
Yeah. Oh, Dagan.
Kind of.
Dagan.
Look at by the letter sizing, and then it's got an E in it, and you can move them around, and you can get that as a hint. I think there's quite a bit to that thing in retrospect. I mean, this is the early stuff that we did, that I was involved with, and I know so much more now than I did then. That there's a lot to examine there. I mean, a dragon. What does that mean? I mean, and it's on the surface. Is that I had a blast? Is that some sort of a military machine? Is that a, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to look at.
I think he's taunting the police because he's saying they haven't caught up with him yet. So sorry to hear your ass is a dragon. We also pointed out the fact that during this time frame, Jack claimed to be, searching for gold and mining for gold in Reno, Nevada. But Dennis was under the impression that what he was really doing was taking any jewelry that he had taken off of his victims and melting it down and taking it up there and selling it. So not really understanding the complete truth of it, but we do know that mining for gold was something that Jack was into. And we do see a lot of mining properties where people have been dumped. So it could have several.
I mean, little guy's on a jackass too.
Yeah. Jack. Again, it's a Jack hint. I mean, come on now.
Jack hint. Right.
Now, I did pull back up because I did actually figure out what that word was underneath sex in the DB Cooper card that went to the USPA requesting membership for the parachuters club, but it said sex, and instead of writing male or female, he wrote yes, and the word underneath it that I couldn't decipher last week was occasionally. That
was Jack's sense of humor.
Yes, occasionally. That's similar to saying infrequently, isn't it?
No, I was just going to say that. That is totally what it brought to my mind, the infrequently. Yes, occasionally. All right, so we cleared that one up. Now, we also talked a little bit about the way that he posed the FBI with the period dots after the capital letters. And I went back and I pulled a bunch of stuff out from different communications where we see back in Lipstick, he wrote FBI with no period dots after the actual letters. And then in the parachuters card, he wrote F period B period I, no period at the end of that. But I did notice that in the JonBenet Ramsey letter that he also did a period after the S, a period after the B, a period after the T, and failed to place the final period after the C, which is consistent with what we saw on the parachuters card.
Right.
We did also see typewritten messages. Now, of course, in the initial, this FBI right here that is written in one of the original communications from D.B. Cooper that came out of Vancouver, Canada, we see that again, he wrote F period B period I, no period at the end of that one as well. So it would tell me that these were likely written by the same person. And we see that same thing. However, when we look at the FBI in JonBenet Ramsey, he actually did put the period dot after each one of the letters there. So kind of back and forth. We see in this one here is from John Walsh and the Scorpion cards. He wrote again, FBI with no periods, CIA with no periods. And that really falls in line with the Susan Degnan, which we were just talking about, Terry B. No periods after that. I also lined up, we again have CIA that's written backwards. We know that the Zodiac like to transpose or flip his letters backwards, but again, we see CIA with no periods after it. And then we see, again, I'm not even sure what that really reads, but we see periods after each one of the letters that are down underneath here. So he's kind of back and forth in this notion. But when I looked up go ahead.
Oh, he didn't put it behind the A is all. In that same string. He didn't put it by the H either. Oh, he didn't put a period behind the letter A at the end of that string. Or whatever.
No. It's written backwards. It's written backwards. So it is A
period backwards.
Upside down, E period, C period, G period, T period, H period. And he wrote it all backwards. So this will all take, I guess, some more study to take a look at. But I think that the notion that he would put a period dot behind every letter except for the final letter is definitely consistent between these, or the lack of use of any periods are also consistent with these as well. And I also pulled up plenty of other communications that have the word police in it. And I was not astonished to find that there was a good lineup and spacing between these, just like we found in My Name Is. In the letter, I wasn't really sure whether or not D.B. Cooper wrote, but we can see the word police is written and used, and the way that it is written and used, very tall P stem or long P stem, like Terry B has pointed out, in pretty much every single one of these particular communications. Either way, it wasn't even until at least 1978, I think, the KHJ, 1978, the KHJ TV studios, where he mentions the CIA, but he's actually addressing it. The return address is to the CIA. I found that interesting. And then in the 1990-91 communications to John Walsh, he again mentions the CIA. It took a long time during the procession of these communications for him to bring up the word CIA, but he did eventually bring it up. And he is now trying to state that he is smarter than both the FBI and the CIA.
You know, it's also like those messages.
He was made to be smarter.
You know, it's all those messages that are just real simple observation that you've got the word I separated from the T, so it's like he's saying his statement is I plus the teeth plus the police. No.
I and the police.
I and the police. No. In every instance, too. In every single one of them.
Well, exactly. And that was something that I had the linguistics professor from UC Davis comment on, because he had done a study to find out what percentage, and he did this study not because of me bringing this to him, but he had done it previous to the linguistics of people making the statement I and rather than police and I know. So typically speaking, you give to the other person first before yourself, but a narcissist is going to announce himself first. And he found that less than 2% of the population that he surveyed on this particular thing actually misstated it incorrectly, putting themselves first before the other entity. So that was a common denominator between both Jack's communications when he worked at Hewlett Packard. He would say I and the other sergeants, or I and the other security guards. However he posed it, he always put himself first, just like we see in the Zodiac communications.
But now a big word in today's, computer situation is the word IT, internet technology, specialist. Big word these days. Was it a premonition? Was, what I'm saying? Just wondering.
No, it's just his misstatement. A narcissist is going to always put himself first. So you'd say I and the police and I and the sergeants versus the sergeants and I, placing himself last. He places self-importance on himself by putting himself first.
Sure.
So we left off talking about the actual FOIA files and the communications between the FBI and law enforcement in regards to this communication. And it stated that enclosed for Seattle is membership list of POPs, over 40 parachutist group. Also enclosed are copies of membership cards and, where appropriate, the information appearing on the rear of these membership cards of the POPs organization. Review of these cards left to discretion of 00. Again, I don't know what that means, and may be of value in developing suspect or individuals who may be able to furnish information on unsub. What we do know is that it's over 40 parachutists. So if Zodiac or DB Cooper was applying to this, he would have been over 40 because he would have known he needed to be over 40 in order to apply for this particular membership.
Sure.
And that actually places Jack, I want to say, if he was 41 in 71. Well, yeah, I think he was 41 in 71. Wait a minute. He was born in
1928.
So he's 43 in 71.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So this goes on to say he advised that POPs is a worldwide society whose membership numbers 576 members. To qualify for membership in this organization, you must be an active parachutist and reach the age of 40. So whoever is giving him this information advised that he believes the majority of parachutists over the age of 40 who are actively jumping are members of this society and is well known in parachutist circles. The group does not have a magazine or paper, and they've redacted much of the next statement and the first sentence of the next. Yeah, I don't know why they redact some of this information. He advised that occasionally, again, redacted, information for the society and the parachutists magazine, which the majority of parachutists subscribe to, again, redacted, which were filled out by each individual who had joined the society and which carry in some instances other background information on the individual members. So he must have submitted all the parachutists' applications to the FBI for them to look at and determine whether or not it was one of their members. But I think that was all kind of a ploy.
Sure.
It was a game.
Right. So-and-so advised that in his opinion from articles he has read concerning this hijacking, that the hijacker was an experienced parachutist and appeared to know exactly what he was doing. And he stated that if this was the case and the unsub was still active in parachuting and was over 40, that there was a possibility that unsub could be a member of POPs. Composite drawing of unsub was exhibited to this person. However, he indicated he could not identify unsub or furnish any logical suspects concerning this matter. He indicated that POPs would be having a meet where numerous members would be getting together in the near future, and again, redacted, if he develops any information, he would contact the FBI. Now, if they're showing him the composite, and we are being told by DB Cooper that the composite does not really fit what he looks like, because he's got putty makeup on, he's got a toupee on, he's made himself look completely different than what he does normally, then showing him this particular composite is probably not even probative. Like, there's no reason for it.
You should try to find and get a look at the one Bruce Smith supplies that he claims is the close one. I've only seen it once. I didn't make a copy of it, but
is that the one without the glasses on?
I'm not. It's been a long time since I've seen it, and I may have saved it in my old computer, but I don't have it currently available. But it was way different and much closer to what Tarrance looked like at the time.
Oh, yeah, I would be
Terrence. I
interested
guess
in
you
seeing
pronounce it
that.
Terrence. So Terrence.
So on 12/3/71, we have some more redaction in this particular letter. Advised that more redaction. In several years, he advised that he had been reading the information concerning the hijacking of the Northwest Airlines flight to Seattle, Washington. However, he could furnish no information concerning a logical suspect in this manner. Redacted again, viewed composite of unsub, and advised that he did not believe this composite looked like blank or whoever it was. Maybe he did zero in on a particular person that he thought might have been responsible because they've redacted whoever this person's name is, and he did not feel it fit the description as blank because the person that he had submitted was of heavy build. Again, redacted, advised that he should develop any information concerning this matter in his contacts with other parachutists. He would immediately contact the FBI. Investigation at Detroit continuing. Now, why at Detroit? Like,
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Hey, isn't that Hoffa connected right there?
Well, it's an OCCK case.
Exactly, Michigan.
Central.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Detroit's investigating anything, but they're the ones evidently leading the investigation, I'm guessing. I have no idea. Yeah, unsub should be considered dangerous. Why? What did he do that was dangerous? He didn't harm anybody. He didn't hurt anybody.
It means they knew something about him that they weren't revealing that they knew. That's what, when we get that letter, then the OCC case, they also stated the person that did it was very dangerous. So we'll get to that eventually.
Well, the OCC case, he's killing children, so of course he's dangerous. We can understand.
But he said he's unusual in that he handled the bodies after he killed them, and that made him. And he was highly organized, so he was very dangerous in that regard.
I think in just about every instance with everything that we have tracked from Dagnan, Black Dahlia, he had definitely handled the bodies.
One more
real
quick thing.
Clean them.
Just a real quick reminder: there was a victim in the Cooper caper, and that was the murder of Earl Cossey. Is that how you pronounce the name? The guy that provided the parachutes was bludgeoned to death. That's been downplayed.
Really?
Yes. And I
we got
sent you something that addresses that came from a Wikipedia, but yeah, I think you brought up his name a long time ago, and I got him mixed up with somebody else. But yeah, he was the guy that provided the parachutes, and he was later bludgeoned to death. And some people speculate it was because one of the parachutes would have resulted in Cooper's death had he used it. But
so
Bruce Smith is more of an expert on all that stuff.
Possibly killed because he attempted
I think it's because they're.
Go ahead, Harriette.
I was just going to say that I think there's because when the later solves that I was doing earlier until I got this on, anyways, that he's saying that there was another person, a body there, then they were going to use those two parachutes. So I think what you just stated, Terry B, is get rid of this, that.
Get what? You cut out.
No, sorry, to get rid of the witness because the witness knew a little more. And bludgeoned to death, that's definitely something that would be doing because it was the key word bludgeon. It says a lot there.
Exactly. And why would anyone else have, the guy didn't have any enemies that they knew of otherwise. He wasn't like he was but of course that connection was downplayed, of course.
And did they ever figure out who bludgeoned him to death? Was there
anybody? They never caught anyone. It's unsolved murder mystery.
Perfect, just like everything else we talk about.
How convenient. How convenient.
I'm surprised they didn't say he bludgeoned himself to death and committed suicide by beating himself to death.
See, something's wrong there. So
that brings us to our next communication, which is the D.B. Cooper Viva Las Vegas. It's a poetic ensemble, which is Zodiac 101. He loved to make poems and rhymes. We've talked about it several times. We're going to hear more in the future about more poetic references or rhymes along with riddles and codes and ciphers and back to that dragon card, look here, hidden pieces. Like it's all kind of rhyming together right now. But this particular communication says, I'm your hero, the great DB Cooper, the cool hijacker turned paratrooper. So he thinks he's already been accepted, right? As a paratrooper. Who bailed out with the cash, shed no blood, caused no crash, but sure left old John Law in a stupor. Viva Las Vegas, DB Cooper.
And then Viva Las Vegas. Remember I told you that the lyrics in Viva Las Vegas.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to get to your email because I just found that this morning and I found that ironic. So I did smack it in here. Are you able to read that? Is it too small?
I am now that you pointed out. I didn't get down that far. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
It's your show.
So this was actually mailed to the Las Vegas Sun on, it looks like December 4th, 1971, 121 South Highland Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106. Now, go ahead and read your email to me because I did find that interesting.
And that 711 Ocean Drive was a vintage film noir movie that dealt with the race wire gambling rackets. And I should add to that in the Las Vegas area or California. 711 is a cryptic number that signals the gambling business. In this flick, they stated that the bookmaking industry took in more revenue than all of the U.S. corporations combined at that time. That was a late 40s time frame. So, of course, Jack was making reference to the rackets with his overt number of 7 and 11 hints, which we'll see on the Zodiac Killer document. And let's see, I put the origin of 777 is something that I still need to look into. Okay. And let's see, by the way, the old Elvis song, Viva Las Vegas, has the line 7,11. So
now, that caused me to bring up another postcard that people have attempted to connect to the Zodiac, and it was actually addressed to President Elvis Presley.
oh boy. 333.
I have to do that. You're going to have to send it to me, Nanette, and maybe eventually I can do that one. I don't think I've done that one.
You haven't done the President Elvis Presley one?
No, I don't think I've done that one.
I thought I got that from you.
Oh, you got that from me? I probably sent it to you. I just don't remember doing it, but as a code. But
I want to say it says.
But anyways,
it's mailed out of Huntsville, Alabama. I want to say that it looks like it was done in 1964, so we've long since passed this. But when did Elvis pass? Does anybody remember that year?
Oh, that was 77, I think.
1977.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says on this particular card, President Elvis Presley, Memphis S, Tennessee. You'll be next on my list. Signed by 1 Elvis Presley, 2 Johnny Cash, 3 Tommy Rose, I'm not sure, President JBJ, and George C. Wallace. Does anybody know any of those names? Wow. Right?
Does it say Tommy Rowe?
It looks like it's ROESE. I'm not sure.
I think that would be Tommy Rowe. He was
and
a
who
big
was
star
that?
Then.
Oh.
Tommy Rowe. Yeah, he was a big star. He was in, Teen Idol stuff. And anyway, so yeah. But the names are all familiar.
I don't know, met by President JBJ. Did you figure that out?
No.
Huh.
That's an anagram. No. I got to do that one when I get a chance.
Yeah.
All right, I will send that
George
to you.
Wallace.
So
well, he was.
The DB Cooper Viva Las Vegas was discussed in the FOIA files. It says enclosed herewith for the laboratory is the original of note addressed to the Las Vegas Sun. It's again going to a newspaper postmarked Henderson, Nevada. Oh, wait a minute. Henderson, Nevada. Oh, that one is. Sorry. Alabama was the Elvis Presley one.
Mm-hmm.
Postmarked 12/4/71, this note purportedly was put together by the hijacker of the captioned plague. Enclosed herewith for the Seattle office is one copy of above note and one copy of an envelope in which note was mailed. Something is redacted. Obviously, maybe the editor of the Las Vegas Sun newspaper made the above available. He stated that they had reproduced this note on page 1 of that newspaper, and the penciled notations on the back of the note and on the back of the envelope were made by personnel of the newspaper during the process of engraving and reproducing same. Redacted stated that a minimum of 15 different individuals at that newspaper have handled the note and the envelope. My goodness, do these people even begin to understand evidence? I'm sure they do, but everybody handled it. So the laboratory is requested to compare this note with other printed matter received in this case. No fingerprint processing is requested in view of the numerous individuals who have handled this communication. So they 86 the idea. And I bet you they could have told you all 15 people who have handled it and ruled them out. So why they still didn't proceed with fingerprinting this particular card, I have no idea. And that brings us to your particular...
I got it.
Right. And that brings us to your... Let's see here. Is this... Okay.
Yeah, I have it right here on my page, but wow.
Go ahead. What?
I anagrammed it. Well, I anagrammed it as is because now I'm knowing more about the stamps, but this is actually the simplest version to anagram it. I just anagrammed Henderson, Nevada, DEC 4 a.m. 1971, Las Vegas Sun. I could go on, but it came out as a simple anagram that says, "Hi, Bob Woodward of the WP," that's the Washington Post. I owe documents in order, his years of documents in order, ratio B, RRTTO, that's Railroad Train Operator BH, that's Bill Hilliard. He has delivered that 11900, that's the operation order, 1 coin, Harris. I have avenged Joe DiMaggio wife, Giancana use E1, anyways, DR, that's Dr. Edward C. Adams, Eves Monton, 41, Nurse Donna West, 18, supplied pneumatol, the sent slaves drove 90049, the zip code, give, and then it's the pneumatol up, cut rectum, August 7th, 1962, it's 8/7/62, the Sahara Hotel last RN's dead, sliced up. She's located East State Line, Nevada, East Roundabout R, and I think it's the Right Rock, E8, and then he's doing his what he is as a sergeant. He's still in the military. He's doing whatever it is for Nixon. It's E8, John DB Cooper Tarrance, and then I forgot to anagram the word gay, but he's saying a lot there. It's a message meant for Bob Woodward. The Washington
Who's Bob
Post.
Woodward?
It's before he became super famous for just a year or so later. He's doing Watergate.
Right.
So, wow.
The movie about him had Robert Redford in it too.
And he's particularly bringing up Dr. Edward C. Adams, which we know that there were communications written to Edward Adams, correct?
Yes.
So you believe Dr. Edward C. Adams was actually the doctor for Eves?
I think it was pronounced yes.
No, for Marilyn Monroe. For Marilyn Monroe, he was a psychiatrist briefly because they were getting back together. She was in Contra Costa County having something to do with DiMaggio, and he lived in Contra Costa County. So he's supposed to be, at least for a brief time, her psychiatrist.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's why he's telling Edward C. Adams he's next, because maybe he knows things that she told him that he shouldn't know.
Well, this is the accepted story about what happened to Marilyn Monroe, that she was given Nembutal in suppository, overdosed via her rectum. So that's the message here. Part of the message here in 62.
Right.
Yeah, it's uppercut rectum. It was.
I got a little interesting side thing to tell you about Yves Montand. He was married to or went with an actress in a famous old movie called Diabolique, and her stage name, her actress name was Simone Signoret. And believe it or not, she was actually my next door neighbor at one point in time with a different last name by her new husband. And I didn't believe it when her family told me that that's who she was. I didn't know anything. I was a youngster at the time. I was, 14, 15 years old. And I thought, yeah, sure, kid, when they were telling me about this. And that I knew that their sister, Debbie, the oldest daughter, was by a different father than the rest of them. And that his name was Yves. That's what I knew at the time when my parents never bought into it. And I didn't really know until years later when I watched a movie called Ship of Fools. I go, hey, that's Mrs. Daniel. They were not lying to me. She was involved with Yves Montand. And what happened to Yves is he dumped, Mrs. Daniel, but she was known as the stage name of Simone Signoret, dumped her and ran off with Marilyn Monroe at the time. In that time frame. So you got some verifiable information right there in your solve right then and there that expands beyond. So when you said that this says a lot, I'm telling you, this says a lot.
Yes.
All right, so I just got goosebumps, which
amazing.
is I just got goosebumps, which is very bad for a new tattoo.
Sorry.
But so you, Terry B, are able to verify that what she's stating in this particular communication is Yves Montand oh my God.
It's consistent with the truth, because the truth is he did dump her. Yves Montand was a singer and a French movie star, and he dumped, it was known, her stage name was Simone Signoret, dumped her in favor of, but he had a daughter named Debbie. Debbie just passed, I learned she just passed away a year or two ago. She's probably about my age, but anyway, I don't know what got her. They moved over to Wisconsin, but I'll tell you one thing about them, also about that family. They were the first family in our neighborhood that had color television. No one else could afford that. And they had big, gas guzzling cars. So she had some money. So things fit, that this was a true story. But like at the time when you're a youngster and you don't know anything about it, But later I realized, hey, all these pieces kind of came together, I was kind of, at the time, my girlfriend was her sister, but a girl by the name of Lynn. Yeah, Lynn was a really nice person, but I mean, it was. I kept telling my mother before she passed away. I said, "I'm telling you, Mom, they weren't BSing us. That was Mrs. Daniel was definitely Simone Signoret, and her daughter Debbie looked like Yves Montand. I'm telling you, Mom, check it out." My mother,
So you're saying Dr. Edward C. Adams, Yves 41. So he was the psychiatrist for Yves or for Marilyn Monroe?
It's pronounced Yves.
Marilyn Monroe. But can I just say something really quick? Yves Montand, if you're going to have to dig deep now, was supposed to be the top suspect in killing Marilyn Monroe, because he was, I think, the last to see her at the bungalow the day before. At one of the bungalows.
And I've heard that too.
He was there.
Right, I know you're right about that. But the Kennedy boys paid her visits too at that point in time. She was pretty popular.
Yeah.
She was apparently involved with a lot of men, and that probably is why she couldn't have any kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's too much.
It's sad that
exposure.
It's sad she got killed, but it's at least saying that she didn't kill herself. And
right.
I'm like, okay, so this is.
Well, I mean, this is one of the many times thing is accepted.
He didn't kill. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you know what the Numbertol was used for? It was they were treating her like a dog because they used Numbertol to kill pets, to euthanize them. So this angered these people, Jack and his crew, to be treating Marilyn Monroe like a dog like this. And it's, going through Giancana and other people. So anyway, but this is one of the many solves I see about Numbertol. being
and what is the statement? The sent slaves drove 90049. The sent slaves drove 90049.
I think it's to the zip code of the area. I think that's where. Hold on a second. Where she was living in Brentwood area, in Southern California. So these people were slaves.
Oh, it's white slavery
they were slaves of these.
Oh,
they were corrupt slaves. They were being paid to do this. Sorry.
And the Sahara Hotel Lass, that's a true statement. We know that Donna Lass worked for the Sahara Hotel before she went missing. Yes. We know that she was sliced up. Her head is found in one location. The rest of her remains have not been found at this point. And you've had other solves that had stated that she was located at the East State Line, Nevada roundabout. Right Rock. We visited these rocks and actually found a dead jackrabbit at the base of one of them, which was really eerie.
Wow. Yeah, you've got a great solve there. That one's really solid. A lot of stuff going on there. That's a good one. That's cool.
Well, that brings us to the next communication.
It brought up about Bob Woodward, and I was like, okay, he wasn't famous at this point.
Right. Yeah, that's loaded
from nobody at that point.
Yeah, that's
but
exciting.
The Washington Post, it's just another reference to another newspaper. So I'm telling you guys, the news and the media and the newspapers, and the reason why this is still a mystery and everything is so unsolved is because of the money that has been made on this. And I think it all tracks back to Hollyweird.
Yeah.
That brings us to the next communication, B.D. Cooper, which was sent December 6th of 1971. I'm not sure if we've seen an envelope on this, but it is cutouts once again from either newspapers or magazines. Here you share dollar sign, which indicates money. You aren't fool. B.D. Cooper, and of course he's transposed the B and the D from DB to BD, which is that Black Dahlia hint we keep talking about, and he's transposed the P and the R in this particular handwritten Cooper version. So everything is a cutout except for the words Cooper, and that's probably because he couldn't find transposed letters to cut out, so he needed to handwrite that particular message. I brought back the Gall and Sharp typewritten letter from the Zodiac Killer found in Gall's apartment. While they were found murdered back in Los Angeles, her apartment was in Albany, New York. So we do have some Albany, New York connection there. And this particular letter says, so you think you can fool the old killer? Ha ha. There's that letter L, those odd L's that I was telling you that were standouts in the Black Dahlia and many communications. L, know all hyphen your movements and the time they are made. L, time is short. Again, another reference to Black Dahlia. Enjoy life while you can. You are too beautiful to live, and I must kill you. The Zodiac Killer with these drip marks. And again, we have the dot in the center of the drip marks. If you can see those right here. Right. There we've got that solid dot right in the center of the circle again. But the reason I brought this one up is because he mentions the word fool in the B.D. Cooper cutout, and he mentions the word fool in the Gall and Sharp communication.
I want to ask also, before I forget something here, I had something I want to point out.
We're at our last minute, so it has to be
quick. I just screwed up. I've already brain farted it. Pardon me. It was something on that document, on the right-hand document that I was going to point out, and I have to get back to you. I'll have to study it, but one of those things that went through my mind for a split second there was going to point out, what the hell was it, Terry? That's the trouble when your mind is as active as mine. There's it kicks things up. It's like a refreshes.
It does. There's so much to pull together and so many things I've already forgotten that keep coming back to me as I revisit this stuff. We will come back to this communication and Harriette solve on it next week. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Terry B, for your input, and Harriette for your wonderful solves, because they make more and more sense with every step we take in these communications. I want to wish everybody a happy weekend, and we will see you next Friday. Thank you guys for being here, and take care.
Absolutely.